What's going on, y'all? Hope everything is good with everyone today. Sipping on me a Capri Sun. I love some Capri Suns, man. Kind of hit the spot when you don't have like the regular, can't really get like soda or water. It's that. So pull out one of these. It's quick, fast, hits the spot. Refreshing. How's your day going? Hope it's all good. Got some food going up in there. I'm about to eat. Famished. My stomach is. I was on the phone with my mom. We talked. My mom in New York. And we talked for like over 2 hours today. And but it's always good to hear her voice because I always feel relieved and feel good and energized and pumped after I get off the phone talking with her. So that's a blessing. Yeah. So yeah, I always feel good when chop it up with my mom, you know, and she she actually makes my day. She makes my day complete, when I talk to her, and she's doing good. So that's a blessing in itself for me. Yep. So I don't know. I slept, man. Before I talked to my mom, I slept. You know, like before I I slept pretty good today. I didn't go to bed, y'all, like till like OMG, what 10 o'clock in the morning this morning. I didn't go to bed till 10 a.m. this morning, and I was up doing editing of the video that I got out, that I just put out with the beard wash for all the fellas. See, my beard still is maintained from yesterday wash. I need to trim it up, shave it, and everything, but it's cool. It's still hanging. So, yeah, so I went to bed like around 10 this morning. I looked, the sun was coming up. I was like, what? Let me lay my behind down. The good parts about it, is that I had to get up to go to work. I don't work for a 9 to 5, for an employer, so I was able to get up whenever I wanted to get up. But when I got up, I saw my mom. My mom was calling me just as I was getting up, and then come to find out, she said that she had just got up too. So I'm like, oh my god! So if it was like 10, if it was like I got up around maybe 2 o'clock, almost 2 o'clock. So it was like probably like 5 something out there for her, because she's on the East Coast, New York time. So we talked for, like I said, for like over 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And she started, she was hungry because she had just got up and didn't eat, and I had just got up and didn't eat. Like, what was the odds of that? But me and my mom, we've always been tight like that. And we've always been connected. And I can go a few days or a couple of weeks or months and not hear from her, or she not hear from me. And once we hear from each other, we just go on like nothing never happened. Like we had not talked, and it's like we've been talking, every single day, pretty much is what I'm saying. So, but yeah. So I love my mom, man. It's Yeah, man. My mom, she's comical, man. She's hilarious. That's where I get my sense of humor from. Or her and dad, my dad, they both phenomenal and hilarious at the same time. I remember when they would get into when my dad was alive and we were kids. My parents would have their little arguments with each other, and me and my siblings, we would be there, and we could be playing or whatever, having to watching TV, and then something to go off, tick off. My dad, it was really my mom didn't snap on my dad. It was always my dad snapping on my mom. My mom was more like the peacemaker. The you know the more level headed, kind of individual, that you don't sleep on though. Like if you mess with me, I will cut you, Negro. You don't want none of this. Cut you. That was my mom. So, but my dad, man, his temper, man, oh my God. I mean, you ain't have to do much. You just breeze past him. Walk past him, the wind blow him just one way. Would you walk past me like that for? Hmm? You think you funny, nigga? Hmm? You walk past me like that again. I got something for you. You hear me? All right. I ain't playing. You might want to play the games, but I ain't playing games. You know, I'll take you out there like Marvin Gaye daddy did. He would always use that analogy. My dad would always use that analogy. Well, not the analogy story. I beg your pardon, which is a true life story. Those who know what happened to Marvin Gaye, sadly, and everything. But he would always, especially, say that. Just like Marvin Gaye daddy. He ain't play that. He ain't take no mess. And then he look at me. I'm like, why are you looking at me? What about my other brothers and sisters? What about them? Your sons are over there. Y'all look at me. Try me, sick nigga. You try me, sick nigga. You be pushing up daisies, like Marvin Gaye. Daddy did. And I'm like, oh my God. But my dad, his sense of humor was off the chain. And he would say something, you can't hope nobody if you can't hope yourself. You see? If you ain't got nothing and they ain't got nothing, then how y'all gonna have something when nothing from nothing leaves nothing? Just like David Ruffin. We like me and my brothers and sisters looking at each other, like looking at mom, like, Mom, ain't you gonna say something? What is he talking about? Going off the deep end. But he would just have a way of putting things together, my dad, and it was just comical to see. Like I said, when they would argue and back to back with each other, that's when he would really get on my mom's last nerve, though. Like I said, my mom, she's more the laid back, quiet, like, I ain't gonna mess with you if you don't mess with me, Negro. She's like that, but don't press it. She's like a cat, how the little cats, they mind their business, they go about them their way, and and they'll scurry along and maybe purr a little bit here and there. But as soon as you get a cat in the corner, you ever check out a cat corner cat or seen someone, have a cat, where they're not able to get away and their back is against the wall, and you see the cat back rise up with the hair come up, and then you see the claws come out, then you hear, that cat's about to jump on you. And it's ironic. It's ironic. My mom's sign is a lion. She's a lioness. She's a Leo, July 27th. And so am I. Well, I'm the August one, but and that's another thing. My dad he would use that against me. You use that. He's like, you just like your mammy, not like your mama, not like your mother, like your mammy. That is so southern. You just like your mammy. Yeah, I got the same spirit. I'm like, huh? What do you mean? Yeah, I was too young to even understand what he was talking about. Say, yeah, you just like your mammy. You know, y'all got that same spirit. You gonna stick up on the meat. You know, stick up on me. I'm gonna put a dress on you. You know, put some bloomers on you like your mammy over there. Like, why you get mad at me? Y'all don't got an argument thing going on. It's between y'all two. Why you bringing me in it? I'm like, why he's bringing me in it? But my dad was just that way, you know. He just be having a bad day, and I think he meant well. I think he meant well. You know, he wasn't doing it. I think in on all intents purposes on purpose. You know, I don't believe that now that I'm older. You know, I just realized, you know, throughout the years that he went through a rough childhood himself. You know, it's not making excuses, but it's the truth. You know what I mean? He told us a lot of the things that he did, went through, um, with, I think his Aunt Janie down south, you know, had a fishing rod, and you know the little hook on the fishing rod that you catch fish with. You know, when she would discipline him, and my little uncle Roosevelt, who's also passed on, transition way before my dad did. You know, so rest both their souls. Um, but they were like the two oldest brothers of my family, and so he I guess he was trying to get away from her because, you know, because him and Uncle Roosevelt would fight all the time. He said they would fight like tooth and nail because they're like the two oldest brothers of 15 kids. Well, my grandmother had originally had 15, but then it was 13, and my dad was the oldest boy, oldest son of all 13. And then my aunt Shirley, she's the oldest female of all the females. But overall, my dad was the oldest of all 13. And so, for some reason, my dad, I guess, would get into it with him and Uncle Roosevelt. And my aunt, well, his Aunt Janie, who I've never met before, uh, would discipline him, and he was trying to get away. She it would hook him, and it caught in the back of his foot where your heel is at, but inside that little piece of where your foot is. I don't know if you can see it, like up in here, up in there, and it caught him in there. Uh, and I never forget that. You know, that etched uh, a, a real mark and left a real mark on him, from a kid. You know, it was a traumatic experience that he experienced as a kid. You know, and I think, you know, times when him and my Uncle Roosevelt would fight, and he would throw hot potatoes at each other. I'm like, dude, y'all was going at it. Now, me growing up, I had got into altercations with my younger siblings, you know, brothers and sisters and stuff like that. And as the oldest, you always got to try to prove your point. Like, yeah, yeah, you gonna stay your place. Yeah, yeah, I'm the oldest. I got this. I'm gonna hold this down. You gonna listen to me? Yeah, yeah. What you want some of this? Oh, you want some? Got you know. Yeah, yeah. You want some of this? Body slam you. Yeah, get a body with that. Don't play. Recognize. So I understand. So, you know, then you got testosterone going at it at each other. You know what I mean? So, I guess they would always get into it. My dad and Uncle Roosevelt. So I think that was a lot of, you know, the issues, you know. And then my grandma moved on, and, you know, eventually, you know, from my dad's dad, and then, you know, she wound up, you know, remarrying again, of course, and having other kids, more kids, and so I think it bothered him to a sense because uh, he, I think, stayed down south I don't know if it was school or whatever have you, and he lived down there with his aunt Janie, and so he was kind of he was kind of maybe livid about that. He this is what he expelled to us, his family, his kids, and my mom and stuff throughout the years when we were coming up. And so, like I said back then, I didn't know any of it because I'm not a psychologist, a psychiatrist or any of that, and we all deal with some kind of suppressed issues in our lives, whether you're male, female, black, white, or other, no matter who you are, what gender you are, we all deal with suppressed issues. Suppressed issues are issues that you deal with either from the past or some of you've gone through traumatic or dramatic, and it has made an indelible impact, and you have not gotten over it yet, and it still is affecting you and your livelihood where you can't move forward. And sometimes some people blame other people for their mishaps and and failures and things of that nature and lash out, maybe intentionally or unintentionally a lot of times on others. And it's not fair to others, but that's something that person or persons have to deal with medically and, spiritually, and emotionally. So, like I said, I didn't know any of this until I got older. Um, and then I realized that, because I ain't gonna lie, I grew up hating my dad, and I grew up saying I am never gonna have kids. I ain't never gonna have kids. My kids gotta be treated like this, and uh, and he's my biological dad. I don't have his last name uh, because him and my mom never put me and my brother Noah name, his last name, on my birth certificate. They never signed our birth certificate. Hmm. Which makes me think, am I really? Oh, never mind, never mind. Get it out your head. Get it out your head. Too many people say I look like him, and then I see a lot of resemblance of him too, especially during his younger years. And then my brother Paul looks spitting image of him too. That's my baby brother, my youngest brother, Paul Leggett. So, but yeah. So I was like, man, I was like, when they would go at it, back to that, when they would go at it, I'm like, man, what's the deal, See, my mom family is small. She has a small side of the family, and she's the baby girl of her family. And so her issues that she dealt with coming up was totally different than what my dad dealt with. And, my dad leaving home at an early age and starting a career in rock and roll. And a lot of you have heard this story mentioned many times, and maybe I may even write a book about it, but somewhere. But he sung out there. My dad, Roy, his name is Roy Leggett, Roy Lee Leggett, and but they used to call him David Ruffin Jr. I guess because of his style, and he resembled, I guess, when he would dance and do things, that resemble that, and he used to do the splits like James Brown, and he would get down, and I've got pictures of it, of him when he transitioned that was sent to me uh, when he passed in 2016. But that was sent to me from a family member of his younger years of him on stage with his band and everything. And he used to open shows for James Brown and all these other big acts. And James Brown took a liking to him. I'm talking about the Godfather of Soul. Took a liking to him. And he invited my dad to his house one day. And yes, my dad went, I guess. I'm not sure. One of my uncles was telling the story, one of my dad's brothers. And, uh, but all I know is that I heard that James Brown offered my dad to join his band, to come on over to the James Brown band. Yeah, I feel good. I knew that I would not. Yeah, I feel good. I put the little extra on there. But my dad, so good. So my dad would decline on the offer. So my uncle, the one who told the story, who's also in music, himself following behind my dad because my dad had influenced him because my dad was making it out there making big money. Now my dad told me this story, told us, me and my siblings and my mom and all this story that, and my mom experienced it because she met him when he was living that life. That's how she met him, but she didn't like him when he, because she thought he was cocky when he was hitting on her and stuff like that. But she just thought he was cocky. Cocky musicians with a lot of money and nice cars and stuff like that. So he told us anyway he was getting that bag. He was getting that bag back then, and this is way before I was even thought of. Way before I was thought of, and so I'm sure it was in the 50s and 60s. Or, but he also appeared on the Apollo and Ted Mack Amateur Hour and all these different things back then. And so coming from a troubled childhood, he moved on to actually make something of himself at that particular time, and so eventually the reason he let me go back to that. The reason he turned down James Brown offer about joining his band is because he had already now made up in his mind to transition over into Christianity and to become he wanted to be I don't ministry. He wanted to go into ministry. We'll just say that. And so he had found God, and so that other stuff of the world, wasn't fitting for his new lifestyle that he wanted to live. And it's understandable. It's understandable. I think my uncle understands that now. Like I said, because my uncle, he's in music because my dad influenced him, and he also had a band and had records out and and he's with ASCAP and all these different other things and so forth. And so music is really literally in my family. It runs in my family from the rooter to the tutor, And then my dad's dad, whom I never met, whom my dad is named after, his dad or his father, it was a gospel singer for many years. I think maybe in the 20s and the 30s and stuff like that, and was on the radio and stuff like that. So my dad never really met his dad, but he heard the stories of it. So the apple don't fall far from the tree. So from my granddad or his dad to him, to my dad, and then to me and my siblings and stuff like that. So because we were a musical family, we were like a gospel Jackson 5, but that's another story, another day. My dad was our manager. Yes, we did shows and we did sing in different places. We were called the Legates, and wherever they had us, would call us to perform. That's where we performed, whether it was in Hackensack, New Jersey, whether it was in New York, whether wherever. You know what I mean? But we didn't stick with it, and my dad didn't stick with it because he said that we weren't serious. And back then, I played the guitar, which I still do, have a love for it. And uh, one of my brothers, I think my older brother, Dave, he played the drums, and another one of my siblings played something. And then we had the backup singers by the siblings, doing singing. And sometimes my dad would make an appearance; he'll sing, and on Sunday then we'll back him up, and it was depending on the song that he wrote, you know. And so it was like this song called "The Lord Is My Shepherd, I Shall Not Want," and it was just a simple song. So, but yeah, so growing up as a kid, um, coming through that era of music and stuff like that, and then experiencing it as a kid myself and performing as a kid with my siblings, and it was a true blessing. But my dad, like I said, he left the rock and roll world alone, and then you thought that he would have just went straight into ministry and just do preaching and stuff like that, which he did. But he went into gospel music, So the music just was all in his blood. He just couldn't get around it. He just couldn't get it. If I'm lying or flying, you can ask any of my family. My mom is still alive. You can ask her. Now I'm old enough to see this. Me and my siblings, I'm able to see this. I wasn't able to see the era of his rock and roll or era of him coming up and singing with James Brown, opening shows and all this stuff with these different major acts back then. But gospel wise, I was able and old enough to see that because this was like in the 80s and late 70s, 80s, and stuff like that, and 90s, and somewhat of the 90s, early 90s, and before he gave it up altogether and then went into the full time ministry. But he used to sing with gospel, with two different major gospel quartet groups, and they would sing out there with Shirley Caesar, Mighty Clouds of Joy, and Jack Southern, all these different the Clark sisters, the Maddie Moss Clark, and all them, and stuff like that during those times. And we would go to their concerts, in support of my dad and everything, and to see him on stage with his matching suits and their synchronized dance steps and their harmony. I am a sucker for real good harmony, whether it's 3 part, 4 part, 5 part harmony. It can even be 2 part. You know what I mean? If you're a good singer. So I am a sucker for harmony, background harmony, when it's gelled together and it's it just anchors everything down. And so I would hear that, and see him. And like I said, as a kid growing up young, even though I didn't want to be there a lot of times, I just wanted to be playing somewhere because he would force me and maybe one of my other siblings to go to his rehearsals with him. That's also another reason why I remember it. He would force me to go to his rehearsals. I remember I tell you earlier when I said that, he said, "You ain't gonna stick up under your mammy. I'm gonna put some bloomers on you." So he always tried to keep me with him. You and your mammy got that same spirit, remember? So he didn't want me around my mom like that, because he knew that me and her was tight, and still is to this day. So he would have me go with him, whether it was even when he was working and stuff like that. He would have me stick with him, and I hated it. I hated it with a passion. Oh, I hated it. I couldn't even play with my brothers and sisters like I wanted to sometimes. And I would come in from his rehearsals a lot of time. They'd be asleep, you know. If him and the band, his group had a late rehearsal, stuff like that. So I think one of the gospel groups he sung with was the Warrior Travelers, I think. But I knew it was 2 different groups, and the concerts were off the chain, off the chain. And so eventually he gave that up and decided to be a manager to us, the Legates, you know. And then we started, like I said, doing shows and stuff like that. And so, but yeah, so I mean, his childhood, troubled childhood, um, didn't. I don't think he got the best of him. You know what I mean? I mean, he had some errors in there where he had a lot of glitches and a lot of, you know, um, bad moments in there. But overall, he was a great dad, a great dad, a great father, a great provider. Um, it's not too many times we even went without, and with, because he would make a dime out of 15 cents. You know what I mean? He would scrape a penny together, and he'll make it happen. Like I said, my family, we at one point, my dad and my mom, they were landlords. We owned property. We owned the 3 family not home, townhome, 3 family house in New Jersey. No lie, how young folks say, no cap, no cap. Still don't know what that means. But we, they had a 3 family townhome. I mean, keep saying townhome, 3 family home, and they had tenants on each floor, and had his and her vehicles. They had their own vehicles and money in the bank and stuff like that. And wound up losing it all. And like I said, and then we moved to from Jersey because we got burnt out and we lost everything. This is way years and years after the 3 family home that my family owned. We were living somewhere, and then my someone in the place that we were living at, I guess they was smoking a cigarette under the staircase. And from what I was told, then it got caught on fire. This was years and years, many years later, when my dad was living. My mom and dad had separated. They never got a divorce, even even in his departure from the earth in 2016. They never got a divorce, but at some point in their marriage, they separated. And so, because we went through the foster care system. A lot of you probably know about that. A lot of you don't. Me and my younger siblings and two of my older siblings, we went into the foster care system. Seven of us, and so and boys and girls home and stuff like that. And so my mom, she never gave up on us. If y'all seen my American Ninja Warrior audition video, you see I shout her out about that because it's so true. Many people give up on, kids. Even some people just give up on one kid. They get the abortion, or some people find the babies in places that shouldn't be, trashes and all that stuff. And my mom could have done that with us, but she decided not to do that. She's like, these are my babies. They came from me. I'm gonna take care of them no matter what the struggle is. We have to sleep on one bed, we sleep on one bed. If we have to eat out of one bowl, we gonna eat out of one bowl. If we gonna have to eat one chicken, I'm gonna give each of y'all a piece of chicken, like the little bird. Open your mouth. Let me feed you. My mom would do that. She would take a $20 bill and she would bring like 4 or 5 bags of groceries back with, like, out of $20. Unheard of, especially nowadays. But she knew how to budget. Like I said, she was the more level-headed one, and my dad was more of a, but he knew how to make money though. So they were like a match, still kind of made in heaven. So he knew how to make the money, knew how to hustle and get that money, and bring the bag home to my mom, and she knew how to spread it out, on the table and get it and get things popping. So, presents, my mom would buy presents for Christmas, times when she would get a job and she would work to help my dad. A lot of these, I'm gonna lead out, well, a lot of women, there are a lot of women out there that's wanting the man to do everything and take care of everything. But I come from an old school, where the man don't have to do everything, or he shouldn't have to do everything. There's no I in team, and teamwork makes the dream work. I don't agree with a man tricking on a woman and taking her for anything, but I do believe in a man, a woman helping a man if she can, if she's got, babies and she's not able to assist, and she see that they're going under or about to go under, you know what I mean? Uh, and she can help. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Um, I don't, I know a lot of women get into it. I want a rich man. I want a man that's gonna take care of me or nothing at all. And it's all right to have those standards, but sometimes those standards can get so high that, man, it'll leave you in the basement. You know what I mean? It leaves a lot of women in the basement. You know what I mean? Because they're wanting, they're wanting a bit much more than what reality is trying to bring to them. And I'm not gonna say settle for less, no, because I won't settle for less. But what I'm saying, please don't misconstrue what I'm saying. What I'm saying is basically is that if you are in a household together and you both say you love each other and you're both trying to grow together, then why not come together and make things happen? You know what I mean? Rather than sit back like, I ain't doing nothing. Let this Negro fall on his face. How can you say that you love that man? Do you really love that man? Do you really care about that man? You know what I mean? Or you're only there just for what you can get from him, what he can offer and provide for you. You know what I mean? There are a lot of men who are great providers out there, but they're miserable. They're miserable providers. And it's because they're like, man, no matter what I do, no matter how I hustle, no matter how much I bring in the bag, I got a woman that's never satisfied. She takes it, and so it pushes a lot of men out there in the streets. It pushes a lot of men into other women's arms. And is that fair? Is it right? No, it's not. And I'm not making excuses for that because I've never cheated. I've never done that. I've never, if I'm in a relationship, I'm in a relationship. Whether I'm miserable or not. Until God moved me some way. And but I'm not gonna go out there cheating. But I'm gonna let you know, like, I'm not happy. Hey, I need you to get on board. Can you get on board with me? You know what I mean? In my last relationship, leave that alone. Yeah, leave that alone. So, but um, like I said, I grew up in a household seeing my mom and dad come together. They always bumped heads, of course. You know what I mean? It's the opposites attract. Sometimes they don't. But at the same time, when my mom saw my dad going through and saw him suffering, where he was, working 2 or 3 jobs and it still wasn't really adding up, because it was a lot of us, 7 kids at home with two adults, do the math, so it was rough, and my mom times she had to go do what she had to do, whether get some food stamps, go on welfare, until she was able to work, and because my mom used to drive buses at some point, and when she had my baby sister, my younger sister Sarah. Shout out to my sister Sarah. I'm so proud of her. She's the last of the Mohicans, but she's grown now. I think she's in her 30s, early 30s. Man, we all grown. Mom ain't got no babies. As a matter of fact, her kids got kids, and her kids' got kids. So she's a great grandmother, but she did her part, so she deserves all the accolades and the shout outs. I was telling her that today, why, and, how she's so respected, by other family members, and they love her, what I mean? They embrace her because, she was there for her family, a virtuous woman, true virtuous woman, there for her family, for her kids, and for her husband, and she never neglected us, even when we were in foster care. She just like, look, I'm not gonna give up on my babies. I'm gonna do whatever I need to do. She got the job. She did this. She did that. Whatever the courts ordered her to do, she did it. And so the court saw that, and he was like, hey, you know what? Because we would with DIFUS, in Jersey it's called DIFUS. Out, I think in New York it's called Child Protective Services, or maybe it's out here Child Protective, and then BCW I think is in New York. So we were with DIFUS, and our workers, and I remember they would tell us, hey, you're going home. Like, what? What? And we had just came back in town because we went on camp. Me and my brother Noah, we shared the same foster home together. A lot of people used to get me and him confused. They were like twins. My brother Noah, and shout out to my bro Noah. Love you, man. Love you. And I'm gonna call you too. I haven't forgotten. Um, and then my sister Nisi, uh, who's a year older than me. Me and her like doorsteps, like literally, she's a year older than me. Um, she was in a girls' home, and then they moved her over to the foster home because me and my brother Noah was like requesting that. We were young kids, me and Noah, and so we were requesting that she can if she can come to the foster home where we were staying at, and they actually did it. I was shocked. They would listen to little kids. We would tell our foster parents, that's what we wanted. And then we would see our worker, we would tell them and stuff like that. We didn't want her going to another home, somewhere else. So then my baby brother, my youngest brother Paul, and Priscilla, they were in the same foster home together. And then my older brother Dave was in a boys' home, group home. And my sister Sarah, she wasn't born at the time. So she escaped it all. And then my two older sisters, they were living on their own elsewhere, Miriam and Melissa. So but we all got kind of, the ones that were at home, we got kind of split up, and so it was like, wow, man, it was an experience of a lifetime. We experienced the homelessness, we experienced being burnt out, losing everything but the clothes on our back. Moving from Jersey all the way to another state, New York, at the time in the early to mid '80s, and that time that my mom had just had Sarah, my baby sister at the time, and a newborn baby, and we get burnt out and lose everything. And I know that had to shake my parents up, because they were already kind of struggling because my mom couldn't work again because her last day of work was before she went into labor and was conceiving my sister. So everything was back on my dad again. So my dad would, did whatever he could do, the best that he could do, and we, he made some calls, some people we knew, and we got put up by our pastor, late pastor, childhood pastor Stallworth, Leo Stallworth Senior, and he looked out for us. We stayed in the church. He opened up the church and let us stay in the church, so we were staying in the church for a while, and then I was embarrassed because I'm like, man, I don't know if I want the members to find out that we live in here. You know what I mean? So when the church is over and the light and the service get dismissed, I will go run downstairs, so trying to get out of Dodge. And then my dad always looking for me. He always that's my childhood name. I ain't gonna say it again, but they would call get where that boy at, and because I had to go lock up. I had to go lock up because I was one of the oldest. And so he would have me go get the locks, and then put the lock on the door in the front, and then pull the gates down. Then that's when I would feel safe, and I would be more at ease. Pull the gates down because it was like one of them storefronts, glasses where you can see through from the outside to the end. So, but with the gates down, you can't see nothing. So, but I would run. I would, man, get out of Dodge because I had a few females that I was feeling. Don't judge me, don't judge me. I was young, don't judge me, don't judge me. That I had a crush on at the time too. So I really didn't want them to find out. But my dad wound up. They start. Word got around to the members, and it was a tight knit family. That church was a tight knit family. Healing from Heaven Temple. Healing from Heaven Temple. It was in Harlem, uptown Harlem, 125th Street and 8th Avenue. We lived on 125th Street and 8th Avenue. Shout out to Harlem. And so we lived over there for a while till one of the members, one of the deacons, I think had connections, and he introduced my dad to a guy named Mr. Mancini. Mancini had a construction company, so they brought my dad on, offered my dad a job, and paid my dad some real good money. My dad would operate the machine, those big heavy machines and all that stuff, and lay concrete. And he also helped remodel the church that we were staying through that company. I think that's how my dad met or got the first contract with them. And so my dad was making this good money, so he was saving money because they wasn't charging my dad and my mom or any rent for staying in the church to pass this off. And so he was able to save his money, and then that's when one of the deacons had property, and he had a house, and he had an apartment that was for rent, and he moved us in. See how the connection is? That's why it's good to treat people right, not just for that reason, but it's just good to treat people right, period. But you never know where you may end up in life, and you may need that same person. They may be down today, but you never know, they may be up tomorrow, and then they might be successful and all that, and you might have to circle of life, and you might have to come back around to that person that you dissed and walked over and looked down on and frowned upon. So my dad and my parents, my dad and my mom, they became real good friends with Deacon Hinton. I'll never forget Deacon Hinton. And he came through my parents with a 3-bedroom apartment. And so the girls had their room, my sisters had their room, and then me and my brothers, we shared a room, and then my parents had their room, and then we had the living room and a dining room. And then when my sister Nisi came to stay with us from New Jersey, because she was still living in New Jersey at the time, and she had her first child, her daughter Ashley, and so she moved out to New York. She migrated from New Jersey to New York, and so that front living room area, my parents transformed it into a like a bedroom area, so that whole room was hers. It was huge, so they put a curtain up, as like a petition, with a rope and stuff like that, so she had her privacy. So it was, but we had more room, and stuff like that. So um, and then eventually my brother Dave would come, but by that time he was in the military. He eventually joined the military and stuff like that. But before that, I think when my sister moved, I don't know if she moved out, Nisi, if she moved out first and then he came, or if he was there first and then he moved out and then she came. However, they alternated that room, that same front room, and they both had that room, not together, but like independently. So and yeah, so but yeah, so this is pretty much a long vlog, but I'm gonna end it off. It's like a story time vlog, I guess, of my parents and my family. And there's whole much more, you know what I mean? So people look at the glory, but they don't know your story. Growing up, we had a troubled childhood, and like I said, we went through it. Through the foster care system, being burnt out and losing everything with the clothes on our back, to losing the properties and material things that my parents owned at one time or another. Then we wound up rising to the top, and then coming through the music era, and things of that nature. And then a lot of this I experienced on my own on a single basis, living out here in California, where I was homeless, and then, came wealthy at some point, and then, had the zigzags in there in between. So, like I said, you got to be able to go through it, the fire, go through the storm, go through the desert, in order to get to the promised land. And some people are not willing to do that. A lot of this young generation just, they want it to pop overnight. It's like, the microwave generation, they call it. Put it in and get it over and get it done. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with wanting that, but, how are you going to be able to be taught stability and to appreciate, what I mean, this thing we call life? And to be able to help and give back to others that are less fortunate than you and I are. And I would say, take your time, man. Take your time for those who are looking for success. Take your time. Sometimes it just doesn't happen overnight. You see the world that we're living in right now with this whole COVID-19 and other issues on top of COVID-19. You know, um, it's real. It's real life, man. It's no joke. It's no joke. It's real life, and you can take it for what it's worth, or you can just leave it where it's at. You know what I mean? But I like to learn a lot of times from other people's mistakes. You know, so that way maybe I can either avoid it or I can go through it and figure a different route out of it. You know what I mean? But if I can avoid it altogether, then hey, like, okay, what's good for the goose is not necessarily good for the gander. What works for you may not work for me. Whatever you went through, I may not go through, or I may go through the same thing, but it may be a different outcome. You know, and trying to drink water more. I don't drink enough water as I should. In my oatmeal and when I take my vitamins, but I don't drink as much. But anywho, but yeah, man. So um, you see somebody suffering, if you can help them, for a lot of you who are already doing it. So this message is not for you, but for those who may have and are able to assist and help others, why not do it? It's not going to take anything from you, but actually it's going to add to you. You know what I mean? Later on down the line, and being a blessing to others, being selfless of yourself to be a blessing to others. And we all, believe it or not, we all in this together, and we all need each other at some point, at some kind of way. We do. Like one hand, my dad, I tell you, he had, oh my God, 1,000,001 sayings. He always would say, one hand, wash the other. And then both hands together, wash the face. And it's true. You know, uh, you can wash your face with one hand. Now I don't want to break it down, but it's true. But you come out better and get a better result with washing with two hands. So working together as a team. So I'm big and firm on working as a team, whether you're in a relationship with someone, y'all working together to build. You know what I mean? You don't want to deal with somebody that's when you're down, they bailing out on you. But then as soon as you come up, they want to be all up in your bed. They want to be all, I mean, not in your bed, they want to be all up there with you. Wait a minute, where was you at when I was struggling, when I was struggling, when I couldn't even make, you know, robbing Peter to pay Paul, when I couldn't even make my rent or pay my mortgage? Where was you then? You know what I mean? And I was scraping it, just barely trying to make it. You know what I mean? All because your agendas is you want this, you want that. You know what I mean? But you ain't willing to chip in and help to get that. You know, and you want the bag, but you ain't willing to put nothing in the bag. You know what I'm saying? And or offering solutions how to get the bag positively. You know what I'm saying? So I've dealt with that in my life. You know, and I'm not trying to go that route again. You know, I'm not trying to go that route again. So, but you know, you see things in life and you learn. You know, life lessons learned. So you move forward. You know, or just stay there stuck. You know, and sinking in that quicksand of life. You know, and get smothered. You know, but I choose to live. I choose life. You know, there's a whole lot more to give in this COVID-19, and there's a lot more uh, um, success that can come from it. And I'm not just talking on the financial level. You know, success comes on many different levels. You know what I mean? And prospering. You know, uh, and getting it done. You know, getting it done. So, with all that being said and done, this video is probably gonna be way too long. Like I said, it's a story time kind of vlog kind of thing, and I'm trying to do more content that's positive. Like I said, all the content I do is positive. You know what I mean? You know, I try not to do that. Try to stay away from the negative. You know, I've done enough of that in my past. You know, especially when I was younger, in my early teens and younghood. But now I'm older now, so I ain't trying to be nobody's role model, but I'm just trying to do the right thing, and push forward. And so whether anybody watch this video or not, it's cool. You know what I mean? I just hope even one, if you just get one with that listening ear, if I can help somebody as I travel alone, then my living shall not be in vain. So um, that's all it takes. All it takes is one. One person. One person can change uh, the world. One man, one woman can change the world, and that's all it takes. Man, if you got somebody backing you, man, it's over. That person is unstoppable. You get the right person in your corner, and it's a done deal. So that's where I'm at with it, and with my life moving forward. I'm only dealing with positive, like-minded people. And oh, while I'm talking, then I'm so happy because this week um, I got some things planned, and I got some things planned. You know what I mean? So y'all may see some videos coming with some people. So and uh, I'm looking forward to that. And family is everything. Family is everything. Especially during times like this, trying times, you need somebody that you can fall on and lean upon, that you can trust, and they trust you and care about you just as much, reciprocated, vice versa. So, with that all being said, wish you all an incredible, wonderful night. Um, be safe out there. Please mask it up. Get your mask. And I know it seems overrated right now, and we're all frustrated about having to do that, and because it's not the norm, but it is the new norm now. Unfortunately, this is what we have to do. Um, and I know they got these vaccines, the vaccine out, so I ain't messing with it though. Personally, for me, like I said, I don't know what's in it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what they mix that in. They were trying to get that together so quick, man. Put that in there. Like turn into a zombie. Be stiff. I'm like, brains, brains, brains. I don't want to be a zombie. I don't want to be a zombie. I don't want to be a zombie. Don't do it to me. So, yeah, so hey, to each their own. Whoever do it, hey, pray over that thing. Pray over it. But, yeah, I don't know. But, I can't. And like I said, with that all being said, uh, much love to you all out there and your families and stuff like that. Stay safe and be strong and know that there is a change coming. There is. It seems cliche to say and maybe even a bit corny, but there is a change coming and we're all going to make it out of this. Contrary to anyone else's disbelief, we are going to make it out of this um, if you just keep the faith and do the right thing. Do the right thing. If you say quarantine, then that's what we got to do. Then why not? You know, it's not just for you, but it's for others as well. So, um, yeah. So, have an incredible night, and I'll see y'all when I make another video. Oh, happy Wednesday. Peace, love, and light, world.